America is once again at a moment of reckoning. Powerful forces are threatening to pull us apart. Bonds of trust and respect are fraying. And just as with our founders, there are no guarantees. It truly is up to us. We have to decide whether we will all work together so we can all rise together.
To those who already hated her and her message with unbridled passion, what Hillary Clinton said last night in accepting the Democratic presidential nomination will do absolutely nothing to stop that hammer from falling. In their minds, she is still the veteran crook, the entitled political succubus that will, if allowed, drain the very life from America and bring us to heel before those who would revel in seeing us fail. This is nothing new. Hillary Clinton and her followers believe there is a change in America that they are the ones to capitalize on. She believes, as do others, that there is a disaffected rank of Republicans and independents who, in their way of thinking, are preparing and ready to do whatever it takes to keep Donald Trump from taking the keys on Pennsylvania Avenue. And it's those voters, along with her own ranks of already dedicated minions, who viewed her words last night as manna from heaven and exactly what this country needs. All of which has yet to be seen, because just when you thought the battle was already underway, it just reached a new level of real. That level includes your phone calls at 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. Let's dig into it. Welcome back the veteran political strategist, author of the New York Times bestseller, Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary, Dick Morris. All right, Dick, Hillary Clinton and the Democrats believe that what she said last night, as I just mentioned, will get those disaffected Republicans, those angry independents, it will get them to cross over and vote for her. I am going to wager to say that you would laugh right in the face of that statement.
No, I agree with you completely. I think that there will be lots of Republicans and independents who will either stay home or vote for Hillary. But I think they'll be offset by lots and lots of Democrats and independents who will either stay home, vote for a third candidate, or vote for Trump. I think you're going to see a massive realignment of the political parties, because I think the left-right spectrum has had its day, and now we have an insider versus outsider construct. So I think the likes of the Bushes and the Romneys and their acolytes and supporters and the elites in the Republican Party may well vote for Hillary. And I think that the Sanders people, the Occupy Wall Street crowd and so on, will not vote for Hillary and will either stay home, vote for Gary Johnson or Stein, whatever her first name is, the Green Party candidate, or actually vote for Trump. I think this will be a realignment election. And I bet that there are more people who are disgruntled with the global economy than are thrilled with it. And I think that it's very likely that in the exchange, Trump will triumph.
Why then would you believe that when there are a number of pundits and experts out there, and some of them, of course, are pretty young in this whole political industry here, who believe that Hillary Clinton actually put down the insurgency last night, that she got Bernie Sanders to get on her side, that she got the old guy from Vermont to help, and that she really did put the party back together and unify them?
Oh, that's nonsense. This movement is not a top-down movement. It's not like Bernie Sanders had a political machine or a set of loyalists who he brought out into the struggle and will obey his orders. This is a grassroots movement, a spontaneously generating movement motivated by ideology, by anger, by alienation, by frustration, and those causes remain. And it then created an anti-Hillary movement, one that absolutely loathes her. Oddly enough, not because of any of the ethical reasons, but because of political and substantive reasons. And they're not about to vote for her, and Sanders can't deliver her. So to pretend that anything is unified from their convention is ridiculous.
Let's go ahead and talk about some of the things we heard last night. I want to get your opinion on these. Hillary Clinton, of course, in her speech said many things. In this case, she questioned Donald Trump's temperament, saying, as we have heard before, that he is not fit to handle the pressures of the Oval Office. Here's how she put it.
He loses his cool at the slightest provocation. When he's gotten a tough question from a reporter, when he's challenged in a debate, when he sees a protester at a rally. Imagine, if you dare, imagine Imagine him in the Oval Office facing a real crisis. A man you can bait with a tweet is not a man we can trust with nuclear weapons.
Of course, everybody there loved it. But, Dick, there was a word in there that she used, debate. We are going to see Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton debate as we head towards November. Are you confident that Donald Trump knows enough right off the cuff that he can defeat her in a debate?
Well, I think he'll have to bone up on it. But, yeah, I think that he's the strongest debater we could put out there because he's the least inhibited. And he's going to really let it fly and let the accusations go after her. The problem with Hillary's speech last night is that the logical consequence of each of the lines she used ends up colliding with reality and exploding. She said, let's unite and pull together and compromise. Well, voters realize she's the last person in the world who would ever compromise. She never compromises over Benghazi or email or anything. She said that we need to stand up to China. Well, for God's sake, she was Secretary of State. She went there 4 or 5 times and never confronted them. She says that we've got to have the right temperament to be president. This from a woman that threw a lamp at her husband. We're not talking about somebody who can sustain those levels of argument. And they come up against reality. She said, we are not afraid. The hell we're not. We're scared to death. Between Paris and Brussels and Nice and Boston and Orlando and San Bernardino and all of these massacres, we are frightened to death.
Isn't it fair to say, though, that when somebody says that, when she says somebody, whether it's Trump or anybody else who says that, what they're doing is they're not trying to buy into the fear. That's what people will say. Why buy into the fear?
Because it's only if you're fearful that you can really understand the urgency of taking measures to cope with this stuff. Otherwise, you do half measures and you don't mention radical Islam and you don't support keeping people out of the country. Do you think right now, Ed, there is any Frenchman or French woman who is not saying, why the hell did we let all these people in the first place?
I have talked to a couple of friends of mine in France, and actually they're split.
Well, there may be some that say, send us another batch of terrorists. We love these bombs going off.
Well, they don't say that, but there are some people who say absolutely, and the friends that I know, they say that they're scared about the people coming into the country. Others say that's not all the entire problem. That's another story for another day that we're getting into here. Let's go to some of the numbers here that I want your comments on. There's a poll of people who watched Hillary's speech last night. This was a CNN ORC flash poll. It was talking about, do you think that Hillary Clinton's policies will move the country in the right or wrong direction? 82%. Well, it's not so shocking if you consider that they're Democrats mostly watching it. They all believe that her policies are going to send us in the right direction. Only 18% or 16% said the wrong direction. I mean, how much of that do you think will make an impact? Again, this is all polls, Dick. We talk about these numbers over and over again. And we're not even in August yet. So how much of this will really make an impact and keep us going to November?
I think that Hillary may get a bounce from the convention that may offset the Trump bounce over the last 3 weeks and bring the race again to even. But I think that the problem is that if you look at the speech, not as just a speech or an event, but you follow through each of the lines of attack she proposed in those speeches, they each run into a wall called reality, shred and fall apart. When she says that we need to do this and that for the economy. Well, they've been there for 8 years. When she says that we need to make sure banks say yes to entrepreneurs. Well, they've had the banks under their thumb for 8 years. And in each of these cases, she can't sustain the line. And I think that eventually it means that her campaign is going to be reduced to I am woman, hear me roar. And while that I think will be effective in getting some votes, it's not going to be nearly enough.
I'm going to get to your strategy side here. Donald Trump, of course, had a reaction to Hillary Clinton's speech last night. We knew it was going to happen, but in this, I think this one shocked a little people as well, and maybe it's pretty good because this is the kind of shock that Donald Trump loves to throw out there. After he watched last night, he watched all the speakers, he said they wanted to make me fight. Here's what he said.
I wanted to hit a couple of those speakers so hard, I would have hit them. They're really saying bad things about me. I'm going to hit them so hard. I was going to hit one guy in particular, a very little guy. I was going to hit this guy so hard his head would spin. He wouldn't know what the hell happened.
Dick, is that presidential?
No, but it's Trump. And the point about Trump is that he penetrates beyond the normal realm of political dialogue into being a common, ordinary person. It's just like Harry Truman when he said, I'll give him hell. And the Republicans said, you're engaging negative campaigning. And he said, I just tell the facts, and because the facts are negative. He was atypical, he was gruff, he was plain-spoken, he was outspoken, and so is Trump. And it's welcome. It's not the language of inside the Beltway. It is the language of America. Everybody knows he's not talking about punching somebody out. Everyone knows he's talking about going after them verbally. And I think that the beauty of Trump is that he does not speak the language of inside the Beltway. He speaks a far more authentic version of English.
He speaks, in some people's minds, America is what would be the way to say it, the way people talk about Donald Trump. And they love it. Let's put it this way. They absolutely love it. They eat it up. And that's why a lot of people want him to become president of the United States. That's fair to say.
You got it.
The book, once again, is Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. Now a New York Times bestseller. Make sure you pick up your copy and get ready, because, as I like to say, we got a long way to go until November, and there's a lot to learn, and Dick Morris will help us learn it. Dick, thanks so much for your time, my friend.
Thank you.
We are faced with a dangerous political time, but a dangerous health hazard also looms here in America, and we may not be able to do much about it. That's coming up next, right here on The Hard Line.